name is Bev. I'm from Bee Crafty, and every Tuesday at 8 p.m. we make something. Now, sometimes it's a product focus. If you go back a few weeks, for example, from this video, I did a product focus on our Inkable 6x6 mandala stencils. Hello, my darling Alison. But a lot of the time we are trying to make a project, complete a project. So if you have seen Bee Crafty products before and you're like, I would like some more ideas on how to use this particular product, do let us know and we can put that into our Try It Out Tuesday schedule. Okay, so there is going to be a little bit of chatter. If you are catching up with this a bit later and the chatter just isn't your thing, it's totally fine. Please feel free to fast forward until I start making something. But please do click that like and subscribe, okay? Because what that does is that makes YouTube think that people like our videos and you know, it makes them seem more important, basically. That's sort of it, really. Right, so I'm just trying to get the live up on my phone so I can see the comments when I sit down, basically. Okay, here we go. Hello, Shaz, you're right. Oh, I can hear myself talking. Hideous, isn't it? I mean, that's just not good. Let me just zoom in a little. Get rid of some of the mess on the side. Okay, that's better. All right, so I hope we're good. I hope we're having a good week. Obviously, it is only Tuesday, so I do appreciate, you know, it's early doors, as it is at the minute. I'm watching Are You in Labour? I think she likes your voice in the background. Well, you know, someone has to find it soothing, I suppose. Okay, so I was having a little look through my last few Try It Out Tuesdays. Now, we have done scrapbooking, we have done ATCs, we've done a tag, and we've done a lot of art journaling. But we haven't done a card in a while, so I thought, I know what we'll do. We'll do a card. It's amazing how those two thoughts came together, isn't it, really? So tonight, now, if you remember, when I made the tag a few weeks ago, a really beautiful tag. If you haven't seen that, please go back and have a look. It was this tag. See, really, really pretty. Go back and have a look at that. All right. Is anyone else amazed I could directly put my hand on that? Because I'm astonished. Those who are not new here will know that that was fantastic. Okay, but what I did that day was I mainly focused on one stamp set. And I'm going to do exactly the same tonight. We're going to focus on Journaling Essentials number 8. Why did I pick Journaling Essentials number 8? It was at the front of the Journaling Essentials box. So I took it out. Sometimes that's the best way to make your selection, okay? But the fantastic thing about Journaling Essentials number 8 is you have so much to work with, like a lot of the Journaling Essential stamps, okay? So you've got these two sort of flowery mandalas here. You've got these two background ones that you will have seen in the Catalyst card patterns because I use them to make it. You've got this fabby one here that I've been playing with stamping out. And I was like, ooh, that's fab. So I'm thinking that's going to go in the background tonight. Okay. And then we've got some stems and some lovely little added bits. So this, I'm going to use a Journaling Essentials, which I primarily use to accompany a focal image. But these are going to be the focal image. All right. And then I have gone back to an older bit of goodie with, and you can tell because it doesn't even stick to my backing card anymore, the Ticker Tape 1 wordage stamps. And we are going to make a blended back. I'm not going to use any Catalyst cards. We're going to make a blended background. We're going to watercolour in. Okay, the only thing I have prepped ahead, and this is because I think it can be boring if you're watching along, and it, you know, it gives me too much of an opportunity to rabbit, which I obviously do enough of already, is I have taken, can't pick it up, someone help. I have taken the bottom mandala here, okay, and I have stamped it and cut it into 3 separate layers, okay, because to be honest, I just thought that would be an easier start. So I've just had to move my phone, it was too far away. So I thought that'd be good. So shall we watercolour the, no, let's do the background first. Let's do the background. Let's see, my phone keeps slipping. I need to get another holster for my phone. I'm going to get rid of that. Okay. Oh, no, it's not playing. Okay. Right. So should we do the background first and then that'll give us some idea of where we're going to go with the foreground. Okay, so let's take these off. All right, and I'm thinking rainbow, but I'm thinking vivids. All right, so I think I'm going to go to, now on my TikTok live on Friday, and I will be doing more TikTok lives on Friday, so do please feel free to join me. I was using the original distress in their minis, because that's how I have my original distress, not all of them but most, to do watercolouring, hence why my mat is already in a state of watercolour paintiness. So I think I'm going to do sort of like a rainbow. Alright, so I'm thinking sort of like a pink to an orange to a yellow to a green to a blue. Yeah? Alright. Oh, don't worry about commenting, darling. If you've got things that you're also focusing on, i.e. lambs being born, it is just one of those things. So, but I am going to use my original distress, and then I've got a few here as well that I was using. Right, so I'm going to need some blending brushes. So I'm going to go with a pink. That's what I said, didn't I? I think I'm just going to go with my Primary Plus. Now, if you haven't been here before, Sam will be here soon. I think she just had some, not exactly a lamb issue, but, you know, a similar farm-based one. So when I am doing blended backgrounds in a sort of rainbowy type thing, oh, I'm going to go really zingy and go with a squeezed lemonade. And also, if we're going zingy, that means we could go with Twisted Citron if we don't think that's a step too far. And then we'll go with Salty Ocean Mermaid Lagoon. Salty Ocean Mermaid Lagoon. We'll go with the Mermaid Lagoon. Let's go really zingy. Okay. For a lot of my rainbow, a lot of if I'm trying to do bright backgrounds and all these sort of things, I do use what I refer to as Primary Plus. Okay. So, for example, these three colours here would be your primary colours. Okay. But sometimes you just want to add something else in. And I do like the symmetry of having four. So when I'm doing what I refer to as my Primary Plus, now this is something that I've only ever heard me say. I'm not saying I invented it, but if you hear someone else saying it, I wonder who they heard it. Anyway, I'm only messing, it doesn't matter. Then I'll add in my green. Okay, so what I'm going to do is you can start whichever way you like. I really don't mind. And nor should you, because this is literally the base. We're going to add stuff on over the top. All right. So I'm going to start with my picked raspberry. I'm going to get some of that on my blending brush. Already got it all over my hands. So fingerprints are most likely incoming. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to use this scrap bit of card just to lean on. Okay, and we're going to add our picked raspberry. Now, where the edges and where we decide to blend is sort of, it's not irrelevant, but it's not of a massive concern to me. Okay, so I'm going to really get some of that picked raspberry on. Lovely and vivid. Beautiful. Okay. I probably should at least made a note of where about the halfway point was, but yeah, whatever. If we only end up with a little bit of blue in the corner, I will not be upset or anything. There will be no tears. Okay, so I'm going to get my squeezed lemonade loaded up. So what I am going to do, I'm just going to quickly wipe the excess of that. Okay. I'm going to start about here. I'm going to really sort of work that squeezed lemonade in before I start pushing it up into the picked raspberry. And then, if you want to, of course, you can come back in with your picked raspberry. Oh, hello. Now, of course, if you have a vast array of distress colours and you want to add in a particular orange tone to this, you know for a fact you want to use carved pumpkin or something like that, you are, of course, free to do that. No one's saying you cannot. All right. And then I'm going to go with my Twisted Citron. I can definitely tell you there's going to be a minimal amount of Mermaid Lagoon on here already. I can already feel it. Now, obviously, the difference is that's not such a big deal because our Twisted Citron is actually the colour between the yellow and the blue. Okay. So again, I'm just going to put that across the middle. Start. Now, for example, I go direct to the ink pad. You can also put it onto your blending mat. Pick it up with your brush from there. I am just going to have to hold it, I think. Or I can turn it around that way so I can hold it onto it a bit more. That makes more sense. Okay, and then I'm going to bring that down to meet my squeezed lemonade, because what I don't want to do is completely cover either colour. Okay, I want there to be a meeting point, as it were. All right. And then what we're going to do, we're just going to wipe off some of that excess. Now, don't worry about lines and things like that at the minute. It really just, it doesn't matter. Okay. And then we're going to go to our Mermaid Lagoon. We're going to load up our brush. Okay. And then I'm going to work this in actually quite heavy, kind of like I did with the picked raspberry at the other end. And you can afford to bring that in over your Twisted Citron a little bit. Because like I say, technically this would be the joining colour. And I really get some definition on those edges. Okay. And then we have our beautiful bright vivids. All right. Now, from here, I am going to get one of my mini misters, and I'm going to go with a big, oh, I say a big one, a 6x6 inkable, but I want a small pattern, so I'm just flicking through, just bear with me. I want something a little bit irregular. Or I might not. I'm going to go for the compass, okay? We have two compasses. We have one that's more of a mask and one that's more of a stencil, like this one. So I'm just going to put that there, okay? And I'm going to mist. I'm going to lift that up. Now, if I just zoom in, okay, you can see the water is lifting the ink. I'm just going to get a piece of book page and lift that up to give us that ghosting effect, okay? And we're just going to get our heat tool on there and dry that up. And that's going to give us a lovely ghosted compass effect on that side. Okay. And I have to say, one of the fab things about doing this is your templates are still clean because you've only sprayed them with water. And then I'm going to get some of the perspective dots. And I'm just going to put that one, and I'm going to do the same again. I'm going to get my mini mister. Okay. Lift that up. Oh, I've overwatered slightly. Sounds like me. Doesn't matter. And that's going to give us a fantastic dotty pattern. I think 2 spritzes would have been enough. It was the third one. It was just a step too far. Now, the paper stock I'm using, it is not Specialist. I don't even know where it's come from. I found it in a box. So I don't necessarily check I'm using the correct paper / cardstock when I'm doing these techniques. It's literally just a find out sort of a sitch. And very rarely has something so bad happened that I'm like, oh, that was a terrible idea. Even when the cardstock isn't perfect, you can still get sometimes a really, really cool effect, which is generally what we're after. Okay. So is everybody with me so far? Excellent. Okay. Now what we're going to do, oh, my comments keep going off, is we're going to use some of the stamps from our Journaling Art Essentials Journaling Essentials number 8 onto the background, okay? So I'm going to use this one here and this one here, and we're going to use the colours that we've used to create the background, and we're also going to use start adding in some black as well, because we've stamped the main feature in black, so we want some of the other in black as well. So I'm going to first of all go with a picked raspberry. We're sort of just going to, now like I said, this is just onto the background. We are not going to stress if they're not perfect. Again, we are just adding them in. So I'm going to take that off there, and then we're going to use the smaller one. I personally think it's really important to use, if you're stamping in a colour on a blended background, to stamp the colour of the background sort of on the background, if you see what I mean, because I think it gives a really good sort of tonal change, you know, whereas especially with distress, where you get so many different colours, different tones of the same colour, depending on how you apply it, you know, I think it just gives a really sort of different experience. Just put a little bit on there. I'm probably not going to go with the squeezed lemonade, because this is regular distress. The squeezed lemonade is unlikely to show up in a really definitive way over the top of the other colours. So let's just go with a twisted citron. I'm going to put that, I think, directly in the middle there. And then maybe a little here. And I'm going to add in the smaller one. I might add in a few of these actually. Sort of over here, in here, and over here. Okay, and again, this sort of brings us back to, don't over fuss with regards to your blending, because there's other things that are going to take over. It's literally the first step in your background. All right, right now we're going to go to this lovely lad here. I absolutely love this stamp. It's so fun. And I am going to stamp it in black. Now, when I first do this, I'm going to instantly feel a massive amount of panic and regret that I've got in with black. So, bear with is all I'm saying. I just absolutely love the little dots. And of course, like I said, we have stamped, because now we're we're a team. We have stamped the flower in black, so we want to make sure that the black does appear somewhere else on the card, because otherwise it sort of stands out like a sore thumb. I am possibly going to give it a little bit of black blending around the edge as well, but I'll wait until I have coloured in the flower first. Okay, so let me just put that on there a second. I'm going to give this a little go with my heat tool, just to dry everything. Like I said, this is a nice lightweight cardstock, so it does get a bit of a bend in it, but that's not going to matter when we lay it up on the card, assuming I can find the card that I've put down. Okay. All right, so you can see all those layers are really starting to piece together, you know, because you've got that blending, you've got that background, you know, lots of little bits going on. Okay, now I'm going to go and just add in a few of these small ones here. Now this little stamp here, this is one of those stamps that I think is what makes one of your sets. They're really sort of, they are essentials. They're part of the journaling essentials because they're so usable. It's just these little lines. Now, these little stamps are ones that I never used to add to sets. They're the ones that I used to sort of draw on to tags and things like that. And it was only because someone came to me at a show and asked me if I had a stamp of it, and I said no, I draw along the edges. Actually, I'm going to leave it at those two. I draw along the edges of my Inkables and then add the zigzags on. And she said, yeah, but I want to be able to duplicate it quickly. And that's why I started adding them on. So if I had space on stamp sets, and that's why similar things, not the same, but similar ones appear on different of the journaling essentials, because they were asked for, basically. See, I'm starting to get thumbprints on things. So now I'm going to have to put something over that later. All right. Now what I am actually going to... No, I'm not. I'm going to do a little bit of black blending now. And I'm going to put it to the side and let it dry whilst we colour in the flower. Okay, so I'm going to get my piece of scrap card back and some black soot distress oxide, because that's what I have near me. Okay, I'm just going to give it, because I do like using a sort of hazy black edge around the vivids. It sort of gives it this juxtaposition of light and dark, which I really enjoy. Something that's just like a bit, well... And then we will also add on some white Posca highlights. This is something I talked about. I can't actually remember. I did 3 lives last week, so I can't remember where I said it. I art journal like I card make, and I card make like I art journal. So, you know, when this card is finished, you say, oh, you could easily put it in an art journal if that is your preferred. You know, if you're like, well, I like that, but I would make it for myself and put it in my art journal. Absolutely fine. That's why I don't see, when people ask me what sort of crafter I am, the answer is paper crafter. It's not card maker, art journal, scrapbook or whatever. It's paper crafter. Because I think all of them, or how I do it anyway, all of them are really interchangeable. The techniques, the products, they're all really, really interchangeable. Okay. Hi, Maggie. You couldn't find me. I'm sorry. I promise I wasn't moving. Not good with YouTube. Okay, well the fun thing with YouTube, Maggie, there's lots of fun things with YouTube actually. Now I can't see the chat. Here we go. The fun thing with YouTube is people can cast it to their TV and make it bigger and zoom in and all this sort of thing. So it does. So that's why lots of people are moving on to YouTube now anyway, because of the Facebook thing. But we actually started at the beginning of the year. It's just one of those things. It made sense at the time. Right. So I'm just going to put that to the side. Probably zoom back out again a little now. I'm just going to leave that there while we colour these in. Okay, so I've got the 3. Well, I have 2. Where's the other one? Here we go. So I've got the 3 pieces from this stamp. So all I've done is stamp it out 3 times and cut along the lines. Now, as you can see, I did not do all the innie outies of the scallops. No. I went along the middle of those lines. Because, yeah. All right. So I have a fine paintbrush here. Now, you could use whichever colouring medium you prefer. I've got my mini distresses on here. So on Friday, on TikTok Live, I was making stamped ephemera in a book, and I'm going to continue that this Friday. So if you do TikTok and you're available on Friday, I will be there. Okay, so this is obviously going to be my biggest one. So I'm going to colour this outside yellow because I've already got an idea of how I want this to go in my head, and that's going to be here. I think the yellow will be good. I'll tell you what I'm going to do. I'm going to give a bit more zing. I feel like I'm watering it down too much. And that can be a problem when you're watercolouring with your distress. If you add in a bit too much water, you don't get that sort of density of colour that you're after. But the beautiful thing about with your distress ink over oxide is I do think it's a really strong vivid. Okay. I'm just going to go over that with a bit more again. Okay. Now I'm just going to let that dry a second. And as you can see, I'm being fairly, what's the word? Free, shall we say. Free in my application. All right, so I'm going to go with my Mermaid Lagoon here around the edges of this one. Now, and this is where, if you're cutting out, it's not necessarily as neat as you'd like. Bear in mind, these stamps are hand drawn, so you know, just go in and draw the edge. If it's fine. Add a line back in if you really want one. But the benefit of cutting them out before you watercolour them, obviously, is any sort of white edge bits you can just sort of paint over anyway. And no one even knows they were there. All right. And then I'm going to go pick raspberry. In the centre of this one. I'm just going to go over that again. Like I said, just to get that real sort of density of colour. You could do direct from ink pad application, to be fair, if you wanted it really rich. That would be absolutely fine. And again, I didn't do all the ins and outs of the scallops. Just straight down the lines. Now, of course, something that would be quite cool with these, if you wanted to, obviously. And I'm going to do it so we can decide. All right. So we can obviously layer up. These aren't finished, don't panic. Over the top of our flower, okay? But what you can also do is offset. Okay. Now, not only does that give you a slightly different look, okay, it also gives you that boost of white highlights. So it's another option, okay? But these aren't finished just yet. Let's take them off. Okay, because what I'm going to do now is I have a big pack of Crayola Super Tips. Okay, and they are sort of my emergency pen. So I'm looking for the one that's close enough. All right. Now I'm going to go around the outside line of the largest one. Like I say, these ones are hand drawn, so it's an easy go really. But again, if you prefer just to do it all in pens, absolutely do that. Okay, and then I'm going to take this green pen here and go around that inside section. Okay, and then that pulls that green all the way through the flower as well. Okay, because I've done 3 layers and I've had 4 colours. So that brings us 4 together. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my Posca and I'm going to add in some white details. Now obviously for this layer it's actually quite easy, because what we're going to do is we're going to reclaim the dots on the petals. Now of course, if you had coloured these in with your pen, with pens, you could have obviously coloured around these dots anyway, so you didn't have to go back in with a white pen. But I genuinely believe even had I done that, I would still have, yeah. Now for here, I'm going to just do some dots around these petals. Because I'm actually going to layer them back on top and see what adding in my own white highlights makes me feel. Like, do I like that more? I don't know. Okay, I'm going to add some more white onto that. So if we just take and put it directly on top, It is a repeated petal, so you should be able to just put it back on anyway. See, I like it all together now and not offset. What do we think? Now I've added on those little white bits. I think that is rather fabulous. I quite like that. Okay, so I'm going to lift my watercolour mat out of the way. I'm going to take my Posca and I'm going to, all together, I agree, and I'm going to add in some white details around the rest of my background like I would if it was an art journal page. And go along here. And then obviously we do have the centre of these, so you can always just put a dot in the middle. If you have a good white ink pad, we do have stamps that have got all these little details on, so you don't have to do them freehand if you don't want to. But you should have a go. I think you'll surprise yourself. Right, the only thing I think I'm going to add, I'm just going to quickly have a look at, and I'm going to go into my Doodle art. I'm going to have a quick look and see if there is a stem I feel like adding in. You know, so he's not just floating around. Right, or maybe I stamp a stem and then just add on some leaves. Bear with me. Right, let's have a look. Nope, none of those are stems or leaves. That's the wrong colour. Right. So these leaves here, I believe, are from the Doodle Art Butterfly set. Now, if I were to stamp a stem, what do we think of those? Or shall we leave him just floating? Or just stamp a stem? So I actually think that goes really nicely, but I think it's too big. Maybe if I'd done it the other way. So move it and it's slightly going off the page. Right, while we think about that, I'm going to layer up my flower. Okay, so I'm going to use 3D foam. And I will be honest, I tend to use as big a piece as it can handle without showing, because I just think it gives it more security. Oh, now it's layered up, I love it even more. Okay. Do you know what? Let's do the leaves. Okay, what I'm going to do is I'm going to snip off the stem here. Okay, I'm going to add some 3D foam to the back, and then put that right on the edge of the card. Okay, and then I'm going to, I don't think I'm going to be able to use 3D foam on that. I think it's too skinny. Get some matte medium, but I haven't opened my new tub, so what else could I use? So I've left it in there. An actual wet glue. Who knows if that'll work? Oh, it does. It's actually running out. Whew, cool. Didn't foresee that, ladies and gentlemen. I can't lie. Okay. So I'm going to put that stem in there. So this is from the Doodle art sets. This stem. And then I'm going to put another 3D foam on the back of here. Oh. One was obviously partially snipped. I'm going to put it... Which way? Pointy up and down? Hang on. Where's my tweezers? Pointy up and down. So I would refer to that as portrait or landscape. I think portrait. But tell me what you think. Okay, so I'm going to leave that there. And whilst I'm waiting for your feedback, I'm going to go to the Ticker Tape 1 wordage, and we're going to find something to put on here. And I think... life is so much better when you're laughing. Life is so much better when you're laughing. So this is where my piece of white card that I was using as scrap card earlier comes in really handy, because it was, you know, completely available. And we're going to ink that up and stamp it onto a piece of white card. Now I am going to use some clear embossing powder on here, primarily just because I don't want to smudge it. And not primarily, literally because of that. It's not the main reason, it's the reason. I'm going to heat emboss that. A little bit of the embossing powder has gone everywhere. It really doesn't matter because it's clear, so no one's really going to know. All right. So we're going to go with portrait. Fantastic. So, portrait. So it's just going to go a little bit up there. Lovely. And then our beautiful ticker tapes. So this is where my fabulous ticker tapes are going to come into their own and cover up any fingerprints. Yeah, that one's going to be up there. That one's going to be about there. And then laughing here. I am sorry guys, that's my fault. What I'm going to do is I'm going to make sure I send out a link. Honestly, I lost track of time tonight. I really did. So, life is so much better. Obviously, you could put these on a very fun, jaunty angle if you felt that way inclined. I'm merely putting them where I need them to cover up smudges I've made. So, you know, we all have our priorities. So they've all come a little bit that way. I think I might just put that one there. Now, the card I found to put this on is... Whoa, I just nearly knocked my drink off the side. Is not the right size at all. I would argue it needs about 1 centimetre cut off the side. All right. So I'm going to take that off because I've already put a smudge on it as well. So absolute liability. Yeah, that'll do, I reckon. Now, you could add a black layer behind this if you wanted to, just to give you an idea of how that would look. But I think it would have to be a very fine line, and I think because we've blended that edge, we don't need to. In my opinion. Obviously, if you're recreating this project, you may do as you wish. Alright, so again, I'm going to go with 3D foam. Like I said, this is a very lightweight card, so I am going to use a bit to stabilise it. But again, when it's your card, you may do as you wish. Okay. So. I'm going to get a big piece of black card. I think that's just going to make that easier to see. So there you go. So, and this is the thing with the card, with the tag I made a few weeks ago. Again, please go back on the videos and check that out. Please interact with them in some way. Like and subscribe, peeps. It's all about the liking and subscribing. Anyhow, comments if you can. But if you go back and look at that, again, it's using one stamp set and a wordy sticker. This is one stamp set and a wordage, okay? So when you are crafting, don't always think, oh, we'll have to get everything out and whatever. Pick a few inks that you want to use and you think this is what I want to use today, and then really sort of have a play with them. Get one stamp set out and see what you can create with it, because you've definitely got the know-how. You can definitely get involved. I might add some sequins on here in a minute. I don't know why. I'm just feeling like it. All right then, guys. Thank you so much for joining me this evening. I've had an absolutely lovely time. If you have any questions for us or anything you can't find on the Bee Crafty website, please let us know. You can get in touch with us via shop@beecrafty.net. You can use Messenger. You can, of course, message us through here on YouTube. You can message us through Instagram, TikTok, all of them, basically. You know, don't be stuck. Definitely get in touch. All right. Thank you so much, guys. Like I say, absolutely lovely evening. Bye-bye.